All righty, let's call order the Selectmen's meeting for February 6th, regular meeting at 4:30. First on the docket is to amend and approve the minutes from January 23rd. Do I have a motion for said approval?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion on those minutes?
I have none.
No.
All right, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
No non-public minutes, you notice that? All right. First, we'll have Goody come up with the building inspector interviews. How are you, bud? Good to see you.
Okay. He asked me to come with him.
Sure.
I guess because I'm the boss.
Yes, my boss. I also have a question, so I don't know how you want to handle this. I have one of the last outstanding ones that we knew of, permits that was still floating out there, and I have some results from that, so I'd like to know what the process is to continue to move it along or explain it to you.
Yeah, why don't you give us a little rundown where we're at and
Want to do that
kind of fill us
first?
in? And
Okay, we've been making headway on the last few that we knew of, and discovered a few others since then that we've been handling in-house without a problem. But one of the outstanding ones that was given to me was the Couture property off of Green Hill Road. And it was recommended not to issue a building permit as the plans given did not comply with Chapter 674 regulations of subdivision of land. So I downloaded the regulation off the state website, and in my research for it, I see no issue why we could not go ahead and issue the permit. This talks about erection of buildings on streets and an appeals to that process. Green Hill Road is, as I read it, is the street, and the road that is in discussion is the driveway from the road, which is in existence, up to the house. So it's not a landlocked piece of property. I guess it seemed to be
has proper frontage?
Well, it doesn't have frontage on the street. The driveway fronts on the street. The house itself sits, I don't know how far back. There isn't a house. There is nothing. The property is off the back of the driveway. So I'm guessing my question is, if we're dealing with, it's a driveway, it's already got its permit to be a driveway. There's nothing in this regulation that talks about the length of the driveway or any town ordinance that specifies, you know, what is it, how long can a driveway be?
Mm-hmm.
So the property is not going to sit directly on the roadway. The property is going to sit obviously back somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
So
Was that the reason for the first denial, was the driveway length?
no, it just said that because it was called landlocked,
Oh, okay.
because I guess the property has no frontage on a street.
Yeah.
But it is accessible through a driveway. In this particular chapter, RSA 674 talks about erection of buildings on streets, and this doesn't apply at the end of the section. If you read all the way through, it talks about no existing lot or tract of land shall be exempted from the provisions of this section, except in accordance with the procedures expressly set forth in this section. For the purposes of paragraph 1, which means the street giving access to the lot means a street or way abutting the lot and upon which the lot has frontage. It does not include a street from which the sole access to the lot is via a private easement, right-of-way, or driveway, unless the easement right-of-way also meets the criteria set forth in the subparagraphs, which again describe a street. So I'm a little confused by what is the question. Why is it the denial? Because is there a regulation that says it has to have frontage on the street?
That never actually came to us in the meeting,
Okay.
so.
That's why I was concerned of what the issue was.
Yeah.
So, that was an outgoing kind of recommendation made after his letter of resignation was submitted, so
Exactly.
we didn't get an explanation of any,
Reason why.
Well,
reason
again, I
why,
have
so.
to assume it's because it appeared that it was assumed that this was going to be a landlocked piece of property, which in our estimation, the highway office has already given a driveway permit.
right,
I've certainly inspected other properties in town that have fairly lengthy driveways. I haven't been on this one personally, but, I mean, it is driveway accessible. It's been granted that.
Yeah.
So no, it doesn't sit on the street, so therefore, this talks about erection of buildings on streets. It's not going to be on the street, it's going to be further back, so.
Well, your explanation was pretty consistent. I mean, Sonny was in here, I don't know, when, spring, summer? A couple different meetings, and that's pretty much what everybody agreed at the time, so it sounds pretty consistent with what our position was back then as well, so,
Okay.
yeah.
And I had, in talking with the owner, he had said that he was surprised by the recommendation to go to an appeal when
Yeah.
he didn't feel that he was in violation of anything.
Right.
And the way I read the regulations here, I don't see that it's in.
Non-violation,
It's
just,
not
So
in
was he given a denial, though? Couture?
He wasn't given anything, it was
wasn't
just the
given.
approval that we received from the previous inspector saying,
Is a date on that?
yeah, let's see,
He's-
1/2/14.
he sent us that email about
Yeah, that's what it
5:30 in
was.
the evening, and he had sent us his letter of resignation
At the
about
same
1 in
time.
the afternoon.
Yep,
In his
remember
statement,
that
he
now.
put down, I recommend denying the building permit application for R13, Lot 19. This lot does not appear to meet the requirements of RSA 674-41, which is what I have here. This appears to be a landlocked parcel. The only access is through an existing tote road utilized years ago for logging. While it is my understanding that the applicant has been granted a driveway permit by the town and that the applicant has expended considerable effort and funds improving this access, this still does not appear to meet any of the minimum standards as established at 674-41.
As a driveway, or?
As a piece of property that sits on a road. And yes, it doesn't sit on the road.
It's not a road.
It's not a road. The road is Green Hill, as I read these
It's a driveway.
regulations. And this is a driveway, and his property is going to be at the end of his driveway. And I see no reference here to anything about the driveway being limited in length. There's no other homes, as the highway person has explained to me. The requirement is 2 or more homes.
That type of intersection there?
Jay, I didn't go out and look at the property, is that what it looks like?
Well, it goes up at a 45-degree angle.
More-
Right, but it just comes off of Green Hill
Yeah.
Road like that.
It goes up. Green Hills like this, it goes in like that, and then it turns, there's a brook there, the bridge, remember talking about the bridge and the driveway permit, that's the bridge.
Right.
And my guess is his land must do this. Property line must do that.
So who owns this property here?
Not sure. That's my guess, I might be wrong, it may go this way.
But his driveway accesses the road, but somebody must own the property, right? Other than him.
This is his driveway, it goes up to his proposed barn.
Yeah, this isn't down by the road.
No.
No, that's the
That's
piece.
right. Right, that's just the driveway part.
I guess it comes down to what do you define landlocked as? It's not
That's my
landlocked.
concern. I mean, that's
It's just a
my
driveway.
question is, who owns this piece of property here if his property line is up this way? Is this an easement he has to get on there?
Yeah.
That's what he says in his building
It's got an
application.
easement. And that road, we talked a little bit about this at driveway permit time, was that driveway, that road's been there longer than zoning's been here.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Just want to make sure I understood it.
So my question is, I guess, what do we proceed to from here? What's the next step? Do I respond to Mr. Couture and tell him to go through with the appeals process, or do I?
Well, you're not recommending that we deny the permit.
That's, in my opinion, there's no issue with the permit.
Right.
But that's the
You
way
have to
I
go forward,
understand
I
it.
guess.
All right, so,
Rely upon you to go ahead.
okay, so do you sign the permit application? Is that how it works? I'll sign it?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Just checking,
Right.
make sure we're following the
Yeah.
right protocol, we're on the same course.
It used to be we used to sign all this, but now that's the whole
Okay.
point of this building
Yeah,
inspector
yeah.
process, to hand it over to you. And
Sounds good.
Now, I got a
Get the middleman out of the way.
Yeah.
Pertains to this, pertains to the building inspector, fire department access, and driveway permits. In this case, the building inspector inspector, is he inspecting buildings, or is he, and doing zoning issues? Because those are two different things. This particular issue is a zoning thing.
Right.
And in reading the outline you have for the building inspector, unless it was somewhere else, it seemed like most of the duties was building inspector.
Point.
So I guess my question is, and it's got a lot to do with fire department access and driveway permits. The building inspector, is his duty zoning or building inspection?
Both.
Does it say that?
It needs to say that.
In the,
I don't think it does.
To enforce the Jackson zoning ordinances.
And I think I read that in the building description. I didn't.
You did?
I didn't
Remember
bring
seeing
that.
No, it wasn't on that first page.
No, it wasn't on the
Never
first
seen it.
page, but as you read into it, it goes on to say, and there's somewhere in the permit process here that I was reading that you had to verify that setbacks.
Setback from that, all that stuff.
Yeah, that's in the application somewhere.
That's why I was concerned about the frontage. you know.
Structure setback requirements, it's getting right there, so. I mean, it's obviously part of the building application process, but I guess clarification was needed for exactly whose job that was. So he's working as the enforcement arm for the zoning board.
And the building.
And the building, yeah, building is for sure, but I just wanted, so he's the zoning, he's the enforcement operation for the zoning board. Okay.
So years ago, the selectmen actually did that. You know, we went out to the site and, you know, well, not we, but the previous
Somebody.
selectmen.
Mhm.
And now that's all being handed over to the building inspector, and all those rules or zoning ordinances have to be enforced as well.
Okay. All right. That's clear for me. Okay, with you?
Thank you very much for doing this, by the way.
Hey, I'm glad I was able to help out. It's been interesting.
Learning curve, huh?
Yeah.
It has quadrupled compared to what he was handed. It's definitely more than what everybody thought it outstanding was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and I heard that, and that kind of took us all a little bit by surprise, so I appreciate you stepping up beyond the 5 applications that we thought were out there, so.
Well, we were gonna use MRI, right?
Yeah, we can transfer anything, I think he's voted good about anything he wants us to pass along, we can do that.
A lot of it that's been coming up is, you know, now that contractors are familiar with the contact, they just, you know, it's coming off the street kind of business, hey, I got a question kind of stuff, you know, so it's not things that I really need to involve
Right.
somebody to start from scratch, unlike the Wentworth project, which is, you know, ongoing now, so that's the big one.
Yeah.
But
Hey, did you get over to the Bruni, Warren?
yes, and I
Thank
sent
you.
an email, that's why I was just
Okay.
checking with Bill to find out if he's been getting my updates. I've been sending it to him weekly, but apparently there's a miscommunication on the email address. So
Okay,
I'll get it straightened out.
great.
I'm not getting it sent back, so somebody's enjoying the reports. It's not going to Bill, obviously.
Okay. Well, thank you again for
Yeah, no
stepping
problem.
in.
So far, the things, you know, most of the stuff is minor, you know,
Uh-huh.
it's just somebody that needs to answer a question. Can I do this, can I do that?
Mhm.
Come look at this so I can do something else, kind of stuff, so,
Okay,
feet on the ground.
excellent.
How about the paperwork aspect of it? Is there anything that,
Missing most of it,
Yep.
so it's a lot of fly by the,
Yeah, that's one thing I want to mention as far as the fire department is concerned. For the last 5 years anyway, since we've been dealing with outside contractors for building inspectors, there's been a huge lack of paperwork, being able to access it after they're gone. Along with a huge communication issue between the building inspector and the fire inspector, big time. And hopefully, in the future, that's gonna get resolved, because that's pretty important with what's been going on the last 5 years. It all started way back when we lost Bergeron and Gang Goody. We had very, very limited paperwork that we should have had.
Mhm.
you know, as far as I was concerned, it's town, you know, info. Hopefully, with the next one, a couple of these problems will hopefully get resolved. I know there's 3 or 4 of them that really issues for us at the fire department.
Well, change is opportunity, and so communication's always key, so hopefully we can
Ramp up.
stress that and have that be a priority moving forward as we go through this transition. Interdepartmental communication, communication between all parties involved, it only strengthens relationships, so. Thank you for making a point of that.
Anything else you got for us?
Nope, that's all I have from
I
the,
think you guys.
So
did-
the agenda item is about the building inspector interviews.
All right. And right now, we have one applicant. And I think we're going to close at the end of this week. Is that when the ad actually officially closes?
The 7th,
7th?
yes.
Okay. So obviously, we'll have to keep it open till then. And then, you know, you said you'd be willing to help us
certainly,
rifle through these.
certainly.
Probably, hopefully next week, we can set some time together. I don't know who, anybody wants, only needs to be one of us at the interview, but we need to have one of us there, I think, at least. Otherwise, all 3 of us have to be there, I think.
Yeah,
And we have to call it a meeting, but,
I'll do whatever works.
you know, if anybody can, I got school, unfortunately. I'm sure you're available during the day, right?
Any particular day, I mean,
You know this person, obviously, so,
Yeah.
you know, they're.
I can sit through, it just depends on how we can set it up.
Okay. So maybe hook up with Julie here in terms of setting up a meeting
Okay.
sometime next week.
Yep.
To get the process going,
we can do that.
and, so
Sounds
get-
good.
Get us rocking on that.
Okay.
And, I don't know, can you make it too?
I can if you think you,
Actually, maybe,
might be a good idea not to,
Not in your case, probably not.
in that case.
Yeah. All right, but maybe, I'd like to have more than just 2 people on it.
Bill?
Yeah, but I'd like to have more than 2 people on it. That's,
Maybe we could get Julie to help out. I mean, he's gonna be interacting with,
a person
hopefully,
too, that's true.
if we wanna do the communications thing, maybe she has things that she would expect to know about that.
All right,
Because
well,
she's
it's a
the
team of
initial-
3, that certainly will work.
Huntley had asked to be on that interview committee, so maybe Julie could call Huntley and we can see if he still wants to do it.
All right. So. And 5 would make a nice number if we could think of one other person. But,
Sure we could.
all right, well, we can think about it. Certainly it'll
You
be out.
can have the other Julie, I mean, you may not want me as much as you want this Julie, because she does a lot of the processing of the, so anyway,
Mhm.
I mean, we can either both do it or you guys can choose someone else.
Yeah, as long as we get somebody from the office, since you're the initial point of contact. I mean,
Right.
I'm only here a day a week, and I would presume the building inspector will be limited in scope as
Why
well,
don't you
so.
try to get a resident that's maybe not a contractor?
We got Huntley as a contract, maybe another resident might be a good idea. Somebody steps forward or something.
Do you want me to post something on e-news, or?
I don't, you know, I don't have a problem with it.
We can lock in Bill and Goody today, and a representative from the office, and working with us.
Working 2 more.
Yeah,
Huntley did specifically ask, and I'd like to have a contractor in there that gives his side of
Oh,
the view.
definitely.
Certainly, yeah.
And then maybe just one more person from the, maybe just one more person
One
from
more
the.
person from town?
Yeah. Anybody cares to volunteer.
Okay.
I will probably, me and Goody will probably give you some kind of a, I don't know if we'll call it a letter, but of our concerns and issues we've had
Sure.
with building inspectors since 2008 or whatever.
Anything that makes the system better, that's all, I'm all for that.
We've got a list of issues that,
There's a lot of codes that overlap, obviously. I mean, everything is built around safety, that's what it comes down to. And then have to understand that the process doesn't end when they issue the certificate of occupancy. For them, it ends because the building permit is closed, but for us, the building is here
Right.
until it eventually burns down. Otherwise than that, it'll be with us, and our job is to see that doesn't happen. So, the only voice that we get to be sure that we have a quality structure when it goes, is when it goes up.
Right.
You can't go in somebody's property afterwards and say, oh, now you gotta change this, now you gotta change that.
Right.
We don't have that authority to start with, and
I think that's really the sole, I mean, not the sole purpose, but the main purpose of the building code is to make existing buildings better, but the ones like mine, which are, 90 years old, is not a whole heck of a lot you can do with.
No, so anything that's being built new today is what we're gonna try and emphasize or work with, and what is what is. And, that's
Move forward.
precisely what we're looking at over at the Wentworth. I mean, the new section will obviously be state-of-the-art, where we can't go back into the existing section and say, oh, and by the way, this is all gonna have to be replaced as well. I mean, that's just as a fly, so, that's what we're trying to look for. So it's important we get documentation passed along so that we have files of what's changes that have been made that affect how fire moves in a property, smoke, evacuation, and all those kinds of things. And that probably applies to more commercial properties, obviously, than it does residential. But even at the residential side, proper exit windows for emergency escape, make sure carbon monoxide smoke detectors are installed, all those things. That's at the time of construction, it's a nothing to do, but after it's done, it's too bad to go back in and say, oops.
Right. Right.
One of the thoughts Goody and I have had is when we hired Goody and decided that he was gonna work every Thursday, same day, same hours. It took probably a year or so for people in town, businesses, everybody that deals with us, with fire permits and fire inspections, that type of stuff.
Go through a whole year cycle.
To get used to, okay, he's here every Thursday. Now, it's like everybody just knows, they come find him on Thursdays, and it's it works very well.
That's good.
Our opinion, it would be huge if the building inspector could work every Thursday, let's just say, as an example. I mean, maybe he's gonna work more than one day a week. Or even if it was.
Tag team together when you're doing your
I think
inspections.
it would be huge, because you're gonna gain that communication between the building inspector and Goody. The people will know the building inspector is gonna be working in town
Yeah.
on Thursdays. You don't have, if it runs out, if something happens,
Work more, but
we'll be there Thursday.
Yep.
It's really been a huge asset having that, so I strongly recommend that you lean towards something like that.
That's a good idea.
We had talked about getting the Goody to be a signature on the building permit as well as the building inspector.
Health and safety.
What's that?
But for
Yeah.
the health and safety part.
Just the checks and balances piece, that conversation we had, so.
Definitely, that's a great idea.
It's huge. I mean, Judy can tell you, it's,
Yeah, having a
People-
dependable schedule is, people can rely on, and again, because communication is the big issue that everybody seems to be complaining about, there's no reason that there isn't communication if they know whatever day it is a week, that that's the day, and if I need to see that person, I can do a face-to-face, or I can call them, or whatever, I can do that on a particular day. So it's a little bit more of accountability, and it also makes it easier for the general public that we're trying to serve, to get access to the people that are supposed to be out there to help.
I think it's a great idea. But the people together need to be together. Very good. Anything else?
I've got nothing.
Very good. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Send me the right email, and I'll get you those reports. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
So action items.
Yeah.
Guys copy?
Yeah, I did. I don't know.
We're asked to set the time and date for the business portion of the town meeting, and it's been on Thursday nights in the past.
And that ties into my, I did check with DRA, and you can set it now, it doesn't matter when you set it, so
fine with me.
So it'd be the Thursday, the 13th, March 13th, at
March
7 p.m.
13th,
Mm-hmm.
At 7:30?
7
7 p.m.
p.m.
Is that
At
a
the
meeting
Whitney
day
Center.
for us?
At
That's
the
not a
Whitney
regular
Center.
meeting day for us. Okay. Great.
And that's a town meeting. Election's all set, right?
Yeah.
You say March 13th?
March 13th.
Yeah,
It's a Thursday.
That's
Right.
correct.
the election's on the 11th, that Tuesday. That's how we did it last year too, right? Election was on a Tuesday, town meeting was that Thursday.
Seems like it's been that way for a number of years. I
Yeah.
think that.
That's fine with me.
No interest in changing it. Myself? You good?
Yep.
Do we need a motion to do that?
I'll make a motion that we set the date for the business portion of the town meeting to be Thursday night, March 13th, 7 p.m. at the Whitney Center.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Bill didn't have anything, CPR training options, and I was supposed to find out about that last night, but the meeting got canceled because of the weather, so I don't have any input on that, unfortunately. Do you know anything about, Tom?
What do you need?
CPR training options for the AEDs, I believe?
Well, it depends on whether you want an actual certification. For some reason, if you need a certification, a little health association or Heart Association and/or Red Cross card, that's one thing. But if you're just looking for an education on it, I know that the library is actually doing something on the 18th of February.
February 18th?
That's a Thursday, Tuesday night at 7:30. Brad Barriger, who's a paramedic with us, also a flight nurse with Maine Lifeflight, is coming to do something for the library. It's in the paper today. So if you're just willing to come learn how to use them, I'm not sure, I can find out if he's doing a full-blown sort of CPR class. I kind of doubt it.
Isn't that about 3 hours?
It's usually a couple of hours, yeah.
And if that's starting at 7:30,
If that's starting at 7:30, it's a couple of hours, yes, it's going to be a little bit of time. It's not as bad as it used to be, where they used to make you sit and watch a film and stuff like that. There are other options if you would like a full-blown CPR class. There's a girl named Nina Ayers, who lives in Bartlett and does ours every year.
Okay.
And she can give you a card. She's an instructor through the Heart Association. So the issue with that is I think there's sometimes a certain fee for administrative costs of getting the card pumped out of the Heart Association.
Okay.
So, and it varies. So,
Well, we got one scheduled for Tuesday, the 18th, so
yes, but that's.
That would certainly be
That's more of a course.
start a
teaching
course
people
type
how
thing.
to use the AED that's now over at the library.
maybe what we do is put a sign up, see if anybody's interested for a full course after that. Maybe they can get credit for the hours they get, or,
I'll try to get in touch with Brad and see if he's
yeah,
that's a workable thing.
very good.
I don't know, I know that I'm not sure if the police have to have it or if the fire has to have it. I'm working with them
No, that's true, they need updates,
if they need it actually.
hours.
Yeah, that's a couple hours.
All right.
Of course, I think every kid that graduates from high school or elementary school should have to take it too. That's just a problem.
I'll put it on their agenda.
Put it on there.
Bob didn't have anything. Julie confirmed with the DRA for the business portion of the town meeting. That's
Yeah.
all confirmed. And Julie H. had nothing. Notes, let's see, we got the Selectmen meeting, obviously, that's today. Hearing on the warrant articles is February 11th at 6 p.m. here. And the 20th is our next Selectmen's meeting, 11th.
I'm not going to be here in that meeting.
Okay.
I'm out of the state, just to let you know.
We'll go to
Which
you.
week? The 20th?
20th is next Selectmen's meeting, it's the next scheduled one.
And
And the
he'll be
11th
out?
is a Tuesday for the
I
warrant
should be here for
articles.
that.
Right.
That's next Tuesday.
That's next week, 11th.
I'll be here for the 11th.
You won't be here for the 20th?
No.
Should we forge ahead with that meeting or change it?
Well, it's a
to-
vacation week. I'll be here. I don't think I have anything going on, but, I mean, we can move it to the week after, the following Thursday, if that, if there's a problem for anybody, but I don't have any problem making. Guess I'm too sore from skiing. Let's keep it the same. I think you and I can handle it.
Okay, sure.
All right, so that's all good. All right, next on the, is the public comments. Carl?
Sean will be giving our regular police report at the right time. It's been brought to my attention that there's supposed to be a complaint made against the police department, particularly myself, in reference to January 25th. I wrote a parking ticket up at Black Mountain. The representative of Black Mountain Ski had stated that multiple tickets were written up there, and that was the complaint. And so what I'll make this as quickly as possible, but I just wanted to show the Board of Selectmen that in this paper I'm handing here, on the very bottom, highlighted in yellow, is the 25th. Prior to that is January the 11th. Okay, that was when the last ticket was written prior to the 25th. Now, going over, you see 1051, that was the citation number. 1051. Sequentially in the ticket book is number 1052. Unwritten, still there. So I've just proved that only one ticket was written and not numerous tickets as the representative from Black Mountain had alleged. The other thing, just really quickly, just to show you what I observed on that day, that was there's a curve there, there's a car sticking out.
Right across from,
Yeah, I know right where that
There's
is.
a blind curve for traffic right there,
Yeah.
causing them to have to go over. So I issued a parking ticket, and this apparently has upset somebody up at Black Mountain, and they, for whatever reason, so only, and then this third picture shows that the vehicle did have room to pull forward, but didn't. So, I'm not really sure exactly what the complaint is about, other than maybe they're Black Mountain and one of the customers got a ticket. I don't know. But it was not towed, could have been towed. I did go in there and ask them to make a PA announcement. With the make model of the car. And I don't know what else, why they're unhappy, but
I haven't heard anything. You all get the complaint?
No.
I haven't heard of it.
Yeah.
Like it was phoned in, requesting to be on today's, and versus that. And I particularly don't want to stick around to the end, public comment, so I just wanted to quickly address this and let you know that the issue that was coming down here is not the issue at all. It's not multiple tickets. We probably haven't written a ticket up there in over 2 years. It's not that we're camped up there. So I can only assume that maybe they feel that Black Mountain should be exempt. I don't know.
that's a tough spot. If you zoomed out a little bit and got to that snowbank that's in front of that car, I mean, if somebody came around with a plow truck,
So,
definitely could have clipped the end of that car without too much difficulty. I know that corner very well.
that's it.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Carl. Do you want this back for your
No.
file? Okay.
Any other public comments? Jerry?
Safety
Yeah,
issue.
actually a couple.
You.
The failing a warrant by the selectmen that would be authorized by the body enforcing 10 feet at election polls. And if that's what the town wants, then so be it. But I'm suggesting that you come up with an ordinance and put it on the warrant to support whatever is constitutionally appropriate. The school board has stated a policy that's not enforceable by the monitor.
Well, we are presenting articles for that. We have to actually get rid of the old one, rescind the old one because it was specific to the old town hall. That one's no longer, usable, obviously, for elections, and State Whitney's is our location. So those 2 articles will be on there, hopefully to rectify that situation.
Have we had a budget hearing?
Yes.
And is there a change in the monies since you had the budget hearing?
No.
So there's not a warrant article going on to change the monies?
Change
The money?
the total money or
The money being raised?
from when we had the budget meeting
Yes.
to change it or to appropriate that money?
No. Has there been a warrant article added since you had the budget hearing that would change the bottom line on the budget?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, not all of the warrant articles were in when we did the budget, but the budget was separate
From the warrant articles.
The warrant article meeting is next Tuesday.
The budget itself has not changed because we had the budget meeting.
I was under the impression that there was a warrant article added that would change the bottom line of the budget.
No.
Okay. Since I'm on that, is there a warrant article that you know of that's going on that would adopt any RSAs that we currently have not yet adopted?
I believe so.
There is the library, the new library has requested a warrant article based on an RSA to be able to be allowed to keep the money that they get from office equipment.
And I thought I heard you say it, but under the state building code that was adopted and enforced by the town, I think on 5/31/13, the selectmen no longer have the authority to issue or rule on building permits. Did I hear you say that tonight?
We're not issuing them. We're just overseeing what the building inspector does. The building inspector has the sole authority to approve or
And
deny.
issue.
Right. Right.
So the selectmen are not approving building.
No.
Okay, very good.
Mhm.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You make me nervous every time. No.
It's the building inspector who shall have the authority to enforce the building code as provided in RSA 676-1113 was the ruling on that.
I mean, anyone can, within 30 days, appeal the ruling.
Vetted.
Anyone who has standing
Hmm.
can appeal it,
That's-
just like they can appeal the ZBA ruling, but the selectmen can't.
Right.
Overrule.
Thank you for that. Any other public comments?
Hey, I
George?
got a copy of the, I guess it's a draft of the contract that proposed for the building inspector.
Yeah, you asked for one last time, didn't you? Or no, it was somebody else? We'll get you one.
Okay, that's fine, I have one.
Oh, you do? Oh, I'm sorry.
At some point, do you want comments? Not right now.
Sure, I'll take comment right now.
No, let's wait. Maybe later.
Okay. Any other public comments? Well, move on to police report. Sean? Running out of paper. Too many notes.
Afternoon.
How are you?
Hey, Sean.
I was, obviously, I wasn't here last meeting, so this is a couple of meetings worth of incidents that I'm reporting. But let's see. We had 10 burglar alarms, that they were all false alarms. A domestic disturbance, which ended up with a protective custody arrest. Someone was intoxicated and/or under drugs that can't be under their own supervision and had no one to take care of them. So we ended up having to transport them down to county jail for the night. About, let me see, 5, 6, 7 vehicles off the road. This is all probably going to be within the storms we've had having to do with that. So 7 vehicles off the road, 3 motor vehicle accidents, none of them major or serious injuries or anything like that. 3 broken down vehicles, many parking issues during the storm, 1 welfare check request, 2 assist fire departments on a couple of calls, 1 reckless operation complaint that came in, 2 individuals that came in for a fingerprint for work, Sal 9 or college employment, 1 criminal mischief complaint, 1 attempt for paperwork service if we get a subpoena or something along those lines and we serve it to somebody, so that's what that means. 1 dead animal complaint, 1 found property that was turned in, some glasses, excuse me, 5 medical assist calls, 5 different times at district court for either arraignments or trials, the election detail we had going on, pardon, 1 missing person report, and we ended up finding that person ended up coming back after a couple hours, but I guess that was one I was dealing with and I wasn't here before. 1 assist a motor vehicle that was having trouble, an informational report, assist citizen. We had Bob Temple call in and ask for help. His oil went dry, so I went up and made calls for him and helped him out there. Request for house checks, we have 1 of those come in. And noise complaint, which was said that he heard gunshots, it ended up being fireworks. And 1 bag of prescription drugs that were turned in, and 1 harassment report.
Busy.
Yeah.
What's a house check? I mean, somebody says they're going on vacation.
Yeah. If anybody wants to go on vacation and wants their houses checked, by all means, let us know. We're willing to do that for you. And that's what that is, a house check.
Anything?
Thanks for assisting the citizen who had an oil issue. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's our privilege.
Big public service. What's the protocol on the street parking, winter ban on parking when there's a snowstorm and we've got the plows out and...
Well, there's signs that show it, but generally and I'm not going to remember the times right now, but a certain time to a certain time, early morning hours, they don't want people parked, so at night, if people are at dinner at the Wildcat, it's fine. But after a while, they have a certain time period blocked off, and they're on the signs so that they can definitely clear out all the snow, have time, no one in the way.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's the theory. I know a few times I get called out to the Harvard House on Route 16, at least once a year, and I know that State Highways told me that they like cars to be at least 5 feet off the pavement is what they require. So anything on the pavement on 16 anywhere is going to be, a request is going to be called in for us to respond.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was probably, I guess, probably referring to the 111 batch there of tickets that went out. And
Yeah,
That
one
was
of
up
those was at the end of North Hampshire Ridge, way up top, the cul-de-sac. There's even no parking signs there too.
yeah.
So the plows tell us, hey, we can't turn around, we don't want to risk hitting somebody, so
Mm-hmm.
we go up there and do what we can.
Okay. Appreciate that.
Thanks a lot.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you, sir. Yes.
I'd just like to make a comment. We don't thank our policemen enough. They've done a wonderful job in our town. And I just wanted some public comment that we very much appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, I'll pass that on to the others, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you, sir. Alrighty. Legal expenses. This is probably the final total for the 2 lawsuits that are now settled, and the final bills have come in. Gino Finicella's total was $8,300 $8,315.86. And Frank Benesh was $17,757.14, $5,000 which was a settlement fee in order to settle that case. So those two are closed, and probably will not be bringing forward any more legal fees unless they happen to pop up. Hopefully that will end that
Closure.
closure there.
Those legal fees for Chino, were they for the calendar year of 13, were other fees incurred during 2012?
Other lawyers' fees?
Chino's legal fees.
That's an approximate total, because there's some,
That's for 2013.
right, that's for this,
Did
this,
we incur some expenses?
year before?
as well?
No, I don't believe so.
I don't think so. I think that just started to hit when we, it was right after the election when that
Yeah,
started,
it
right
was
in
the
March.
day after town
So
meeting.
that was all this year.
Yeah.
And again, those are approximate numbers. Like I said, sometimes there'd be emails flying back and, they charge us for 3 emails at an hour and stuff. So it's very hard to calculate the exact dollars, although it looks pretty impressive. The numbers seem to obviously have some, look weird anyways in terms of dollars and cents. Alrighty, makes it seem exact when they're really not. Precision part. New business, scrap metal agreement. This is with Town of Bartlett has negotiated a contract for scrap metal, and we just obviously get a copy of it. This is for $1,250. That is being paid. Let's see, who was it? Roger Labby is the. Remember Roger?
Yeah, he's been
We
here.
did that before we had settled. So they're just passing this on to us for our signature. So we just need a motion to sign that.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
6 to 14. I like that signature on that one. Yep. All right, next on the agenda is the town treasurer, appointed versus elected. And I guess this is an ongoing battle these days. Where's any notes on this? Taylor thing. So, there we go, thank you. Well, this is from you, Bill.
It was my opinion that it would be better off if it were appointed, and only because to make a smooth transition, and the same thing's occurring now with Warren, we're going through an election, you're gonna bring somebody in, and it's just a disenfranchisement of trying to make a smooth transition. And that was the only reason I said it. Does anybody out there have any opinion?
B.
I think they should be elected, they've always been elected.
I know there was a case, I was reading through the government stuff that I get every week, and Hanover is kind of in a similar predicament that we're in, or could be in, I shouldn't say we're in, or could be in. Small town having a hard time finding somebody that, may, want to be treasurer, never mind run for it. They had nobody run for it. So, they're stuck with a position that they can't fill, and obviously it's a very important position. And they actually brought up the particular bill, I don't know the number of it, where they were trying to change it to a appointed position because of the difficulty. And it's really hard to find somebody who's qualified. But again, it is an elected position as it stands right now, and unless somebody wants to put a warrant article or a petition to change it, that's obviously the way it's going to stay. We're not proposing to change it. I mean, this
You
is.
would have to be voted at.
Oh, yes,
town meeting.
absolutely.
You can't change it.
No.
And you appoint everybody, and then a group comes in, and you
you don't like the person, it's like off with your head, which we've seen.
Yep.
What if, what if there were a provision that said, as long as somebody runs for it and selected, it's fine. If there are nobody running for it, then the position's appointed.
It should be one way or the other.
Well, if there's, but if nobody runs, what do you do?
I think that's, I believe that's the RSA as it stands.
As it stands right
So-
now.
If it runs, the selectmen appoint them.
You've
Okay.
got 6 days to appoint someone.
That's fine, we're done.
But that's only if there's
If there are no
a
write-ins.
If there's
a write-in
one
winner that
Right.
doesn't accept the position, then the selectmen have 6 days to appoint.
That's correct.
And I mean, it goes back and forth. Is there someone qualified? Is there not someone qualified? Who decides who's qualified and who's not? And certainly, I remember hearing arguments pro and con and local government center opinion about zoning board of adjustment and planning board and people down there saying, well, one of those boards should be elected and then one can be appointed and that's great for the checks and balances. But, how do you fill a board like that with elected positions? What if you don't have people that run? And that's the difficulty of a town. So it's a balancing act. I mean, and who are we to decide whether someone's qualified or not?
Chair?
What's Warren's opinion on that?
Well, it was just yesterday, I heard that it was going to be discussed, elected versus appointed. I think it's quite a large issue, and I'm not ready to give an opinion on it because I just haven't thought it through. Now, I am intending after 9 years to leave a final report with you as selectman. And I promise it won't be more than 1 page double-spaced. In that, I'd be glad to include my thoughts on this particular subject. So I'd just like to defer right now, saying anything. It's for or against. One point just occurred to me when you're talking about elected or somebody is running. Does this cover write-in candidates too? Like if nobody was running for the office and then somebody is written in, and this has happened before. As a matter of fact, I was written in as the treasurer for the school board twice, which I deferred.
Right.
Right.
Does it cover write-in candidates?
Well, the way it works is that whoever wins as a write-in candidate is sworn in. So,
Yeah, well,
so
it's
then you
write-in.
have an elected official.
Yeah.
It is elected
The
still.
Board of Selectmen wouldn't then have the authority to not allow that person to be sworn in. They won the election. If the write-in candidate who gets the most votes isn't willing to be sworn in, defers,
Yeah, right, okay.
then, as we had it explained to us, then it would be up to the board to appoint someone, and we'd have 6 days only, I think, to appoint someone. But if the write-in candidate accepts the position and is sworn in, it's just the same thing as if they had filed and run.
Okay, yeah.
Jerry?
I would just ask Warren, when you do put pen to thought, do you think that there should be minimal qualifications?
I wouldn't pass on the qualifications. I'll say these are the requirements.
Of the job.
And then it's up to the selectmen and their advisors to make a judgment as to which person is said would meet those requirements.
And that would be my only reason for suggesting the appointment, would be that the selectmen then could at least evaluate any qualifications or lack thereof for the person that would be considered for the, in other words, I tremble to say, but the voters in their wisdom may not understand the qualifications of a treasurer. And where the selectmen, I think, would at least give thought to that. So that would be my reason for supporting an appointed. I do appreciate Bob pointing out that the planning board want, and it wouldn't matter to me which, but I just think it's and you referred to it, a check and balance for those, so that you don't load up a particular
Right.
ideology on those two very important boards.
Right.
But for the treasurer, I think that Warren's done an excellent job, time consuming, and I think that there are certain, at least minimal qualifications, and that to me is a consideration, and why I would lean toward appointing that position.
Dee?
What's the difference in if someone running for selectmen, you will make them have qualifications?
Well, if it's an elected position, we have no
That's right.
business establishing qualifications. It's about somebody's eligible to file and run for office, and that's that. I don't think anybody's, saying anything different than that. There is no litmus test to decide who can run and who can't. But, so does appointing a treasurer depoliticize the process or politicize it?
I would go with the former, depoliticizes it.
I think but I mean, that's really what the debate is about.
Kath?
But you're also dealing with a lot of money. The
Right.
town
Right.
is dealing with a lot of money in investments, $2.5 million or whatever it is. And you have somebody in there that's not qualified to deal with this amount of money, you're really out of luck. I mean, we're not talking about, $500 or $600 or $700 or whatever. You're talking about a lot of money. So the person might decide, oh, this might be a great job, or somebody might have a write-in, or somebody might, 4 or 5 people might have written in somebody's name. They're not qualified in the least to deal with a large amount of money like that. So it's an important position, and it's just like, and there you go with the qualifications again. So I know it's very difficult. People don't want to put their name in, don't want to sign up for things. It's like, pulling teeth trying to get anybody to do anything. But I think that it needs to be looked into other than just an elected position, because of dealing with the town's money.
Nancy? Sorry, Nancy, do you have?
I'm stepping into this in the middle. I'm not really familiar. When you appoint someone, are they an employee or a subcontractor?
They're an employee.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's a paid position.
Yeah, but they're an employee.
I just didn't know if they were on payroll or if they were.
No, they're an employee.
I mean, when you qualified the girls to work here, were they eligible to do it, and they had to be qualified. I don't see any difference between that and a treasurer.
Right.
That's my opinion, it should be appointed. And I don't know how to go about putting it into an
Bless you.
article, or whether it's too late to be done, or whether the town just votes on it at a town meeting. But,
Well, something to consider. I mean, we kind of just brought it out there for discussion matters.
And I think the question was whether to put it on as a warrant.
Well, we at the time we discussed this, or there was a point in time where nobody had filed for the position of treasurer and the position of auditor. And they both require some expertise in those areas to be able to perform those tasks. And so, what do you do? And we had asked, Peter to take a look at a warrant article that would allow us to change that to an appointed position. Now, that wouldn't have any bearing on this election. And we also looked into it with the local government center, I believe, and they said, well, if the legislative body approves changing that position from elected to appointed, then that wouldn't take effect until March 2015. The person elected wouldn't serve their full 3-year term. They would serve 1 year of that term, and then in March 2015, that would then go into effect, if that's what the legislative body wants. And we never made any decision that we were going to move forward with either one of those ideas. We're just looking into it. Since then, we had the current auditor go ahead and file and run for the office. So kind of takes care of that. I mean, he's done the audit now for 2-3 years or something like that. So But, you know, that, it's,
And we did have someone file for the treasurer, too.
that's right.
So we do
That's
have
right.
people who filed, so.
Right.
Why not put the warrant article out there and let the people decide?
Really weren't prepared to do that. That's kind of, you know, we were kind of venting or, you know, getting some opinions on it.
I'm for you appointing by the electorate, but I think I'm also, before that, I'm in favor of allowing the legislative body to decide. I mean, the only thing I can think of off the top of my head would be that the treasurer should be the least political job in
Absolutely.
town. So having it appointed takes the politics out of it. And, makes it
Well,
all-
I mean, it could work the other way, too. I mean, it could be somebody, it could be a political thing, but potentially. There's potential for there to be a political.
I don't buy that. I mean, if the selectmen appoint or hire any other employee in town, I don't see how that's political. I mean, but if they run for office, it is political.
It's always been.
George?
Just one
Oh,
further
sorry.
comment, if I could make it here.
Go ahead. Sorry, George.
When you're talking about the qualifications, you know, the technical qualifications, that's one thing, but overshadowing that is the time required for the treasurer. And when I attempted to resign last June, and then agreed to stay on, at that point, I think in my notes to the selectmen, I made the point that it's almost a salaried position, whether, well, not quite salaried, but more of an appointed position, because of the time that it requires. And you're not going to be, I don't think it's, well, I think it's going to be difficult to find somebody that's going to run for that office that's prepared to spend the time necessary.
What kind of time are we talking here? I mean,
Well, you've got to show up here at least 3 days a week.
Mhm.
You follow the requirements to make the deposits and record the cash that is being collected by, so you follow the town clerk tax collector schedule. She's here Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays. So you got to be ready to deposit those receipts immediately after, or within 24 hours anyway, after they're received. And then on top of that, we also have the office that generates deposits from funds collected from building permits and other sources. So they might come to the treasurer, not necessarily on a Monday, Tuesday, or Friday.
Right.
Might come on a Wednesday, Thursday. So then you're looking at the treasurer being needed to be on hand 3 to 4 days a week. And then on top of that, he's got to go deposit them too. And this runs into, well, on an annual, average annual basis, there's, well over 400 deposits, separate deposits that have to be made. Now, sometimes you can do 3 or 4 at a time, but lots of times it's just 1 or 2 that adds up to, I've been keeping track of my mileage. I spend over $2,000 on mileage just going to the bank and getting back here. And so it's a different situation now, and this review that you're making is, and the decision as to how best to handle that workload is very timely.
Warren, would you say that it's at least 20 hours a week?
So
Would you say that it's at least 20 hours a week?
that's what I figured it was, yeah.
And does it require a close interaction with the office personnel?
Yes, it does with the tax collector and town clerk. There's an interchange, in the systems of checks and balances we have. There's a 3-part thing. The treasurer sits in the middle.
Right.
And you've got to have somebody there that's in control, because the treasurer has the first responsibility to guard the cash. And so, unless he's there, unless there's a tripartite team here, you can't have the money going from the tax now directly to the administration because, well, we trust everybody, but then you would have a situation where the administration is receiving the cash and spending the cash with nothing in between those two functions.
Right.
So that's, the system of checks and balances have to be maintained along with whatever method is decided on, whether it's elected or appointed. I don't see those functions changing at all. It's just going to be somebody in the middle that's going to be available to do it and is competent to do it.
Does it also involve managing cash flow between investments and bills and revenues?
Well, there's no investments made because there's no interest to be made at this time, so that's not a function right now. And we never have enough money available in a chunk to tie up into any investment. The only investments you could go to is to one of the state farms or whatever in vehicle that they have. But that's peanuts, and you can't manage it anyway because our expenditures do not follow our income flow of cash.
But you do have to manage cash flow in that regard.
Well, yes, and that comes down to the administration, that they look ahead. Julie looks ahead a couple of months, knows what bills have to be paid, and the practice here, and it's always been pay the bills right up as soon as they're received, which I think is a good practice, that treating agendas fairly. Now, at times, if you're running short of cash for some reason, if tax receipts are going slow, then Julie might decide, well, I'm not going to pay this bill this month, I'll let it go. But that's the cash management that's required. And that's it's not the treasurer's function, that's the administration's function.
And do you also have the use of lines of credit in lieu for tax receipts?
I'm sorry?
Do you have the use of lines of credit to pay bills when tax receipts are slow?
No, if you foresee that you're going to run short, and we do an annual cash flow by the month, and that gives you about a 60-day window to see that when you might be short, you need to put in a tax anticipation bill.
Yes.
So that is, again, would be managed directly with the administrator, Julie, and whoever's performing the treasurer's function.
My point being, it's a rather involved.
No, it's not rocket science. It's not rocket science.
Not for Warren.
It's not for Warren, it's not rocket science, but
It's just watching it, that's all.
Yeah.
And being there.
You have to be there, you have to put your time in.
Yeah, it's a timely thing.
thank you.
George, back to you, sir.
No, my basic comment of, I think anytime you can have government elected, it's better. As far as qualifications, it may be helpful to develop from the selectman's point or establish maybe under the treasurer, here's what it looks like the job is, a description of the job. And the other part, as far as political, treasurer doesn't issue any policy, so I don't see where politics get into it at all.
Yeah, I was saying just paying.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
and so, and lastly, anytime any elected office is vacant, I believe you have the authority to appoint to fill it. So,
I don't think we're prepared today to, put forward a warrant article to do this right now. I think there's more discussion to be had on it, and maybe that the state might be ruling on something in the future anyways regarding this, the Hanover case, so. I don't know about how you guys feel, but I just don't know if it's something we need to do. Like I said, if we don't have anybody, then we can appoint them. But I don't know which.
I'm done.
You're all done?
I'm done. De-cooked me.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem electing anybody. I was just looking for some kind of transition, but it's not an issue for me to worry about. I mean, if it's elected, you deal with whatever the election is. Let's move on.
You, sir?
Well, obviously, it's an elected position, and it's going to be filled on March 11th. It's like, is that how we want to continue doing it? We've got some good input here tonight, and I think we came to this meeting understanding there were good, solid arguments on each side of it. And they're the arguments that we're hearing tonight. We'll take it in and digest it. I don't think making a decision tonight was anybody's intent, but we may get some more input when we look at the town warrant articles.
Could I ask just one more question? If it is an elected treasurer and he drops dead in June or July, do you have the authority to appoint?
I believe that if the treasurer appoints a deputy treasurer, which you had the authority to do, that if that deputy treasurer lives in Jackson, then they automatically step into that position, don't they?
Well, let's say the treasurer hasn't appointed anybody before he
Right,
drops dead.
right. Then I believe it would be
Appointed.
the
Select-
Yeah,
the
we would have
authority
to,
of the
emergency appointment, we have to have
Yeah.
somebody in the
Right.
position, obviously, yeah.
You do have the authority to do it under RSAs. Not only do you have the authority, you have the responsibility.
You have to keep the town
The
going.
RSA doesn't say may, it says shall.
Right.
But I don't believe that authority comes to us if there's a deputy that is a resident of
That's correct.
Jackson.
And that's one thing we haven't had, is deputy, quite a while, too. Yes, Bill?
I think you need to give some serious consideration as to a pay plan for this job. I mean, to pay $5,000 to do the job that Warren's doing is an almost insult. They're certainly not doing it for the money, and we obviously have not attracted much attention to the job, and the key reason is, it's like the old boy said, it's all about the money. And we certainly have other key positions that pay a lot more than $5,000 a year. I don't know why we have such a low pay scale for that job.
Well, we may have more key positions. I said we may have more key positions that pay more than $5,000 a year as a stipend. But I can tell you, Selectmen isn't one of them. So, I don't know, Warren, I mean, do you have outgoing thoughts on that you want to share before you report? Are we underpaying the treasurer right now?
The elected
The stipend, no, the stipend, the amount that we're,
Well,
I mean,
I think it
I
should
was
be-
concerned when you said, well, I got probably $2,000 worth of mileage here.
But, no, it's out of pocket. I mean, the treasurer ends up working for like $3 an hour or something like that. But by the same token, you chaps up there, you're doing the same thing, working for peanuts. Of course, in this case, the old story about if you work for peanuts, you get monkeys, doesn't apply here. But it might apply in the treasurer's case. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Got another hand, John.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Kathy.
How do you make a motion to give you guys all a raise then? I mean, how do you get the same place?
Run for something because you're helping your town.
That's right.
I don't know how you
When I
would,
was on the school board, I got $21 a year.
We're overpaid.
that's a fair question, but I don't know the answer to it.
Okay.
I think we'd probably have to propose to give ourselves a raise and put it in the budget, and that's kind of a sticky situation. But it's a fair question. I think that the peanuts thing when it comes to the treasurer does concern me.
Especially when it pays
I have
for-
to tell you this, I for one know of a very qualified person that would have given serious consideration to that job. And it came down to that. And they're not looking for a fortune either.
Yeah.
They're just
Yeah.
looking for something that's fair.
When's your final report going to be ready?
I'm sorry, that,
When you said you were going to put together a nice one-page, double-spaced final report. When do you see that ready?
before the next selectmen's meeting,
Really?
yeah. And basically what it'll be is spelling out the system of checks and balances we have.
Uh-huh.
And that, and I'll, say ahead of time, just top of my head, that whether it's it's elected or appointed, in my opinion, that same system has to be maintained, the checks and balances. Otherwise, the town is going to be put at risk. This cash will be flopping back and forth. It'll be loose and subject to fraud. Not that I'm saying anybody here would do anything like that, but you never know.
You have to protect yourself from it, absolutely.
This is a prudent way to run a business.
So is that a warrant article that has to be generated by the selectmen, or can any citizen generate that warrant article that has sufficient signature? What is it, 25 signatures or something like
It's
that?
17, isn't
Only
it?
17.
17 for our town.
Okay.
Yeah, either way. You know,
Either
Either way. Anybody can present it, we can present it, or we can have a petition article.
Because he's going to have a final report, which I'm really looking forward to reading, but it's not going to be ready by the 11th, when we have our warrant article hearing.
Right,
And that's when we're finalizing our warrant articles.
correct.
Okay.
Nance?
I just had a quick question. I don't want to intend to burden Warren further, because he's already done so much for the town in so many ways. But I'm just wondering, I guess I have to agree with George, how would anyone even know if they're interested unless there's a detailed, comprehensive list of the responsibilities and the time and the volume that you're dealing with? On an annual basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis?
It's kind of a checklist to go through.
Right.
Yeah, it's on my list.
Was there a guidance document
my
for you when you stepped in 9 years ago?
That's what I'm worried about, is when you start, going from, new treasurer, old treasurer scenario, which can happen every year potentially, we got to make sure that we have something in place that says, hey, this is the way to do it. So at least the person has somewhere to go from, makes sense.
And I assume that if Warren appoints someone, would they be a Jackson resident or not necessarily? And if you run, you need to be a Jackson resident.
Yeah, you have to be a Jackson resident to run, but I think you can appoint anybody that the board chooses, if there's no suitable person who runs.
Yeah,
I guess not suitable, but nobody runs,
I
period.
think it is, just like the clerk, just like the tax collector. They can appoint anyone, but they can't step into that position from a deputy collector position unless they're a resident.
And even if they get one write-in vote, if they accept the job, they're in, technically. So. But it's almost like a job description and a job template, maybe, how it would work. Because that is important.
So was there any kind of document that gave you guidance when you first stepped into that
No,
position?
just what the RSA said.
Okay.
And that's probably been changed. I haven't gone back to see what the original was. But I know how it used to be done, because it was done for, 23 years, the previous treasurer. And it was all manual, and it was, how she did it, I don't know. Because the amount of time it took then, and the chance for error and everything was, out of sight. But I think right today, we have as good a system as you need to have to guard the cash. That's number one, guard the cash.
Anybody else?
Again, I just think it's a big responsibility to assume for $5,000 a year. You
Yeah.
certainly are not in it for the money. And it's obvious that we're not attracting any good candidates. And one of the major reasons is the money.
I said, it's disturbing to hear that, he spends $2,000 in gas. That's
Well,
quite
he's
a bit.
got to buy a Fiat, that Lexus has to go.
Yeah, right. Get you a little sports car or something, Warren.
Yeah.
To change that
Well, I'm sorry
stipend?
to cause this much trouble. But they threw away the mold bill when they made me.
Yeah, I guess so. Thank you very much. All right, baler request. Jackson Transfer Station, I guess the piston in the baler is done. And it looks like they have to invest in a new one at this point. And they obviously did it yesterday. A new one is about 18 grand. But there are some used ones out there apparently. John is investigating that. And what they're proposing here is to use some money out of the Jackson Bartlett Transfer Station operating account to cover that. Is that correct, Julie?
What part of that would be our responsibility?
Sorry?
What part of that 18 grand would be our responsibility?
They were just saying that's what it would cost for a new one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what part would ours?
Geez, that would probably come under major, right? I have to look on the list because the contract says which one's a minor expense and which one's a major expense. I think that would probably be under major expense.
And then it would be
60/40.
60/40, right?
Yeah.
There's 60/40.
There's
My
60.
recommendation is to go new. You buy used equipment like that, and you'll spend all the rest of their money in the next 2 years fixing it.
Does the account balance,
I don't know what the balance is on that.
is that on there? No.
No.
$2,500.
Costs about $2,500 to move the first machine and both wire machines.
So that's on top of the cost.
Yeah, that's on
of the
top of
machine.
the 18,000.
So it's
Okay.
18,000, it's 2,500 to put it in,
Oh, yeah.
hook it up, get rid of the old one. So that's over 20,000. I'm pretty sure we have that in that account, but
Yeah, we'll double check that. I'm fine with it myself. I'm sure they need to act on this one pretty quickly.
Is
Right.
Bartlett active on it?
right.
Yeah, they wanted that says, last night's selectmen's meeting okayed John's request for a baler and wants to pay it out of the Jackson Bartlett Transfer Station operating account, which we share.
They're going with a new one?
I don't know it didn't say which one they went with. I assume it was a new one, but it doesn't say here.
I think they're gonna go with John's recommendation, he wants to go with.
And I think he
I
wanted,
think you'd be foolish
And
not
I'm pretty
to.
sure you have enough
Does
money
John-
in there to cover it.
Recommend a new one in that letter?
it doesn't say a recommendation, it just says a new one's about 18,000 and there are some used ones out there available.
Yeah.
But I don't think he was referring to the 18,000. I think we need clarification on that.
Yeah.
But I think we have plenty in that account, if I remember correctly, but
If we do have enough, you want me to tell them that you agree to move forward?
that's,
Yeah.
suit everybody?
I'm okay.
Do you feel like making a recommendation about new versus used, or just letting him have that level of authority moving forward?
Well, I'd like to know what the number is, but I want them to get moving on this, because I guess they got
Right,
1,000 pounds of cardboard a day they're trying to,
And I agree, we shouldn't
you know,
be throwing things out there that gum up the process.
right.
Rather than expedite it. I mean, he's the expert, so I guess we should leave it up to him.
That's what I did.
Okay. All right.
So I guess we'll go with the 18,000 and find out what the real
Yeah.
costs are and
Yeah.
get back to us for our next meeting if this, I'm sure that they need to get it going quite a bit. They probably won't even have it bought by then anyway, so
Right.
we should know the money by then. All right, Warren, update on the budget. Again, happy birthday to you. Belated.
Right. Well, I furnished you with that memo, and that's new information because it wasn't available until the school budget was finalized. I guess last night was the finalization of the budget, so I don't know whether they changed, but I don't think it did, or was likely to. So that is just to inform you of the additional cash that's going to be required from the town to support the school. Now, there is an increase of about $185,000 in the last half of this year. As it looks, this is not going to impact our cash flow and put us in a negative position, but and that additional requirement will, I assume, will be corrected when you set the tax rate next November, the new tax rate, and to recoup. That's, of course, your job, and this item, additional expense, is not not a budget item, right?
Right.
Yeah. It's not an operating budget item.
So, well, this was just their total bill for the year, and that, and,
Yeah, because they're in a different budget cycle, as you
right,
know.
okay.
So more than half of their cash requirement comes in the last half of the year. That's when the school, in the first half of the year, they're on vacation and their requirements are less. So in the last half of the year, that's a heavier requirement than the first half.
So we're gonna have to plan to recuperate about $500,000.
Well, no, the total is what, increase 300,000?
300 for next year, and
Yeah,
185
on
for
an
this
annual
year.
basis.
On an annual basis.
Yeah, but this year, you need to recoup 185.
All right, that's the number I was hoping
Yeah.
for. Okay, so this one has to be, okay.
Is that because they were over budget?
It's, again, like, I think what Warren's saying is because of the cycle of when they
Right,
start their billing cycle, I guess, basically, the
Well,
budget
their
cycle.
budget cycle, they run from June to July, and we run January to December.
So there's an overlap there, and that overlap is the extra money that is due. Is that how you read that?
Well, they furnish us with a monthly schedule,
Mhm.
and it varies each month. Of course, included in that is the bond payments and other items besides just the tuition expense. But what we're working on now, we're working on the, let's see, I keep getting confused with this, budget cycles. We're working on the short end of, the short half of the total annual requirement from January through June. And then it'll pick up, as I was pointing out, 185,000 more from July through December.
So how come we're having this conversation now, but we didn't have it a year ago?
Which,
We didn't have this kind of
We didn't have this
conversation a
issue
year ago.
last year.
Right, so what's the difference? Why is it an issue this year?
it's not an issue.
Oh,
This is just information
okay.
for your information.
But I don't remember anything like this coming before us.
Well, the information wasn't available. This is new information because it couldn't, the school furnished that information based on the budget that the school has now approved, I guess, as of last night.
As of last night, but why didn't this happen last year at this time? In other words, why we weren't in the same situation last year?
The difference was, I think it's because the school's budget has had a 15% increase, and last year they didn't. I think it was almost a wash last year from the year before.
Mhm.
Slightly under 2 million.
The school board budget increased by more than that amount due to tuition students and.
Well, I don't know the reasons.
John was asking why it
I
didn't
want-
happen last year.
yeah.
They had a huge increase in tuition students, so it threw,
One-
and you understand that their budget year overlaps tax year, they don't coincide. So Warren doesn't always have that information, but he had it because they passed the budget last night.
Right.
It included a huge increase to tuition students because of the number of students going into the Bartlett system.
Yeah, plus the tuition's going up, Jim.
Yes, yes.
And the numbers probably too, which gets back to my original question, they're over budget in those areas. They budgeted for so many students to tuition to Bartlett Middle School and Kennett High School. And a budget is foreseeing a number and predicting a number, and so if their budget's over, then that would explain this. Or it could be special education needs with
Yeah, that could do
independent
it.
education.
In this case, it happens to be tuition.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay. But I do want to point out again, though, that the 2 previous years was just about the same.
Mhm.
This increase of this size is something new due to all these factors that you mentioned here. And just all of the additional operating costs that go up, and it's difficult for the school. I don't know really, because they never know how many kids and
15%,
going here,
isn't it?
going there, and how many they're going to have.
It's almost 16% increase.
Yeah.
It's huge.
We could have a special needs student move into the town tomorrow
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
with an individual education program. That would,
Their special education account actually went down,
That's good.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Item E, bridge inspection report. All righty, no action needed, so that's good news. This is just from the bridges in town here. Just a FYI here, Julie, nothing special in terms of. So, and we're remember good standing here.
Excellent.
What did they do? I have a couple of recommendations here for some signage, I guess, for some of the smaller bridges down by our house. No action items. Okay, so nothing is done. Super. All right, Forest Service request. Did everybody see this memo?
I did not.
This is. This is the hiking trails that got hurt by Irene.
Yeah, I did see that, I'm sorry. Yeah, I did.
You involved in that?
That's not an action item either, is
No,
it? It's just
no, it's just-
letting us know that they're gonna be decommissioning the
comments,
shelter
no.
and,
I think it actually should have been an action item, because I think they're requesting their comments.
They're requesting our comments. It's 13 miles of hiking trails that gonna need some repair, I guess, relocation of some of them, shelter.
so they were thinking about having somebody come to explain it. That obviously didn't happen.
Yeah, no, they didn't have anybody come in.
And then what's the link that was on the
The
email?
report that they did,
Oh, okay.
yeah. That's in the blue. That's that binder.
Link to the report.
This thing here?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
So that shows what needs to
Impacted
be
area.
relocated as far as the trails.
Rocky
and stuff.
Branch area,
Yeah.
Davis Path, Dry River Trail, Mount Clinton Trail. By isolation, I guess.
Wasn't this, didn't we talk about this at the last meeting too? Because I remember somebody talking about the Davis path that had to be reworked. And
Yeah.
most of that's in Bartlett, but.
I mean, this is the first time I've seen this, so.
Yeah, I
This
see
just
the
come in?
report.
No, well, Julie emailed you the link.
The link.
No, I
to
didn't,
it.
I didn't print it out.
You didn't print that out and bind
No,
it and
no, I
read
didn't
it?
print it out and bind it, no.
Oh,
I mean,
you're slipping.
I certainly have no problems with it going around, doing
Right.
some work to make,
It-
you know, I'd rather hear from the guy personally than read this.
Right.
Forever.
Yeah.
Can you see if you can get that rescheduled for him to come in?
You know, and I'm wondering if the Conservation Commission should have a look at it, or we should put it on the e-news to say we have a report in and we're looking for comments if anyone's interested. There might be people in town that, I don't know what you think about that, John.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Get him to come in because,
Report's available.
let's do that.
You could summarize that letter and in the e-news and maybe even put the link on.
All right, next is health insurance. It's kind of been brought to our attention that there is some question of whether there is some grandfather standing for health insurance. And we've been advised by counsel that such standing does not exist, and therefore some employees may have to make some contribution towards the health care this year, not at least in the future, maybe not this year, but at least in the future to get this rectified. Presently, employees pay 15% of their health care, which is about $95 a week, as a contribution. And like I said, there are 2 employees that don't make any contribution at all. that were thought to be grandfathered by, from the time they were hired, but like I said, the council says that is not the case. So, a problem to be rectified. How should we go about
How
that?
many people affected?
Two.
You always have the option of ramping up their pay to cover the 15% increase.
True. And with the two, it's two police officers, so we were having some fairly large increases relative to other employees in town. Some of that should certainly go towards that, I believe. I don't feel that it's really fair to hit those two people with 15% all at once. I would certainly like to offer maybe doing half that this year and half that next year. That way the raise can be absorbed with some of the cost increase and still have a raise, as opposed to what typically happens. You get the raise that equals the percentage of healthcare increase, which isn't a raise. It happens quite a few times. But entertain any thoughts, though?
There's no magic way to do this.
I know. It's not going to make some people happy.
No, there's just no magic way to do it.
How did this come about?
Well, it was asked, I believe, almost a year ago. There was some question that kind of surfaced. And we've been kicking it around a little bit. I know there's been some investigative work that we did, and ultimately, it was brought up, I don't know, a meeting ago or so, 2 meetings ago, and decided to run it by our lawyer to see what he thought. And that was where we came up with this. And then, of course, we went to LGC, and they agreed as well, and kind of got an egg on our face.
So we're acting illegally. If we said we're not going to do anything about it, we're going to kick it under the rug, we can't do it.
No, it's not illegal. They can set
It's
their
not illegal.
We still have 2 employees left from
Right.
back in the day when we
Yes, I
paid
know.
100% of the health insurance.
Right.
And I think at that time, the sense was, well, let's let these employees that have 100 keep it
Be great.
100% now, and new employees coming in will pay 85% from here on out. And so, since that time, I mean, everybody's aware, we still have, 2 employees left that we're paying 100% of their insurance for. And actually, there was a year where their recommended pay increase was reduced from other people in the department who were paying 85%. So it kind of factored in. And obviously this year, we've really focused on the police department because they're grossly underpaid compared to their counterparts in other areas of the county. And we only set the budget 1 year at a time, but in order to bring them at least a little bit closer to an average salary for their counterparts, we said if we incrementalized an 8% pay increase over a 3-year period, understanding we're only bound to 1 year. We don't set a budget for 3 years, but if we incrementalize that at 8% a year, that would bring them up at the end of 3 years to where the average is currently, which again, the average would be still above that at that point, but
The average would be increasing as well.
we would feel like that was fair, and then at the same time, pretty much, it's our guess, it's our sense that most of their colleagues are paying 85% of their insurance and not getting 100% of their insurance, and so,
15.
what's that?
Employees pay 15.
Yeah, right, I mean, in other towns, other
No,
police
but I mean,
officers
we're
in other
paying-
towns.
The employee's paying 15 and we're paying 85.
Correct.
That's right. So
You're right.
the thinking was that if we incrementalize this pay rate increase to bring them up closer to the average of their counterparts in other towns nearby, shouldn't we also be incrementalizing their contribution to their health plan in a reasonable way that at the end of 3 years has them paying the same as these people from other towns and getting about an average salary as well. Isn't it fair to really look at the whole thing? So that's really where
So why don't
we
we
looked
do,
at.
I'd suggest that maybe do a 5, 5, and 5. You know, get them on board within 3 years and then see where we're going increase-wise.
Good
In
idea.
3 years.
B?
we'll get-
I have a question.
Shoot.
When did you compare with towns our size or larger towns' rate of pay,
Both.
both? Because some of the other towns, they're getting their health pay, I'm just telling you.
Mhm.
And
There's a lot of factors that there's just too many variables. Years' experience, you can throw it all off, obviously you can't go by. It's very hard to compare apples to oranges, but
Well, that's what I mean.
if we were at $2,000 below the average, I'd say we're pretty close, but we're
Right.
not $2,000.
No.
We're $10,000, $12,000 off the average, so
But
you
I
gotta,
think 8% at one time is a huge amount.
it is, oh, absolutely, absolutely. And
Well,
now I feel a little bit better about it in a way, because now if two of those officers can help contribute, whether it's 5, 7.5, at least that 8% raise is a little more palatable for me, because at least they're making contributions to the health and everybody's playing with the same fair deck here.
And one of those people is the chief. And it looks to, if he's going to be retiring, we don't know that for sure, a year from now, then that was the logic behind a 2-year incrementalizing of that contribution.
But we're only committed to 1 year.
Right, we can only
Yeah.
commit to 1 year at a
You can
time.
only, yeah, right.
So, but I mean, it's not fair to give it to them with one hand and take it away with another, especially this way. I mean, it came as a shock to me, and it will come to a bigger shock.
Well, taking their contribution into a health plan from 0 to a 7.5% increase in 1 year time, at the same time we're giving them an 8% rate of pay increase, is still gonna represent a pay raise.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it should.
Oh, it will.
Yeah.
So not that our logic is sound or right, or there's not a better idea out there, but that's where we were thinking.
And it does
Or
create
where I
a lot of animosity between people who are getting paid differently for benefits. I mean, that can be a...
Oh, I know.
That's foolish.
Pardon?
That's foolish.
Well, I mean, if you're all in the same system, working as a teacher, I would be rather upset if I'm getting 100% benefits and she's getting, say 85% benefits. I think she'd be
She's
a
only been
little
here,
disappointed.
how long have you been here? These guys have been here longer than you.
I lost mine when I was 100% when I was starting teaching, and I gradually lost. I pay 20% of my health care now.
Oh, it
And
got
I
so
wasn't.
expensive, they had to do something.
And I was grandfathered. At least I thought I was grandfathered. But it's that's a little different situation because it's a collective bargaining unit. So that's not it's not comparing apples to apples. But in the same sense, it was unfortunate to lose that benefit. Unfortunately, my pay raise was the same as my benefit.
So it wasn't strong language, but we did get a response from the LGC and our town council that said, it really should be consistent across the board, your benefits. That they didn't say it must be.
Okay, so legally, no, but morally or ethically, we should be.
What did they say? It was difficult. We asked you to email them and get a response.
Well, I'd have to print it off, and I don't want to misquote.
Right, yeah.
Just to confirm kind of what you're saying, Bob, that has come to my attention from other employees about the police getting their full benefits paid and other people not. So it's not a quiet process.
Right, that's a good point. That's a good point, Bill. So,
But I believe in rewarding people for time served, and if people are willing to give their time, then they should be, an employee that's been on the job for a fair number of years versus one that's just coming on board is more valuable to us, and that they should be rewarded for it, and they are, rightfully so. An employee coming on board has no right to expect to get paid the same or even near the same as an employee that's devoted years of his life to the job.
Nancy?
And I agree with Bill, but I've been in a situation in a workplace, and it came down to a discrimination issue, really, because some employees were being granted benefits when it should have been being given to them as pay. You know, so you want to if you want to reward someone, you pay them more. You don't give them, single people out and give them a benefit. You know, I'm wondering if that should have been taxed. You know, that's an employee benefit that they were getting that no one else was getting. Because that's what we came down to. We had to pay tax on both sides of it, on that employee's behalf.
You can always do a part cash payment, you know, to try to permit it to go through on a smoother program, but the results are the same. The results are going to end up the same. In other words, at some point, whether it's 2 or 3 years down the road, we're trying to facilitate them participating in paying for the health care. And these are never easy to essentially take money away, is what you're doing. I mean, there's no other way to define it unless you don't take it away, you're going to take it away, because it's going to end up somewhere reducing their, if they pay 3% more, it's 3% less in their paychecks.
That's right.
So it doesn't, you can pick any number you want. You can do 1% and take it out for 15 years, or, you know. I don't know what the magic percent is. I would probably be inclined to go with your 5%, to give it 3 years, but the results are still going to be the same. I mean, people are not going to be happy with that. So if you...
But you'll be real unhappy if you hit them for the full 15.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't.
That's like cutting the legs off.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that either.
That 15% contribution is how much a month? It's 90,
95 a month.
95 a month, right? 15% contribution.
A week.
It's a week or
95 a
month?
week.
I'm sorry,
You said a week.
Did I say a week?
It is a week.
I'm sorry, a week.
If you
Excuse
have
me, a
the
week.
full family.
It's $5,200 a year, roughly.
Okay.
About
Yeah,
$5
it's
grand.
$100 a week.
$5 grand a year.
The two people you're speaking of have the full plan.
So
Family, that's a family plan, correct?
it's $95 a week
Week.
at 15%.
It's also pre-tax. They have to pay income tax on that.
One of the things that Julie and I went to the LGC presentation on healthcare, and I put on a little presentation here, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 months ago. This healthcare cost is going to go really straight up. It's not going to be 10% a year. The discussion is going to be far more serious than this. Approximately a year and a half or 2 years from now, this is going to be really a serious discussion about how the town's going to pay for this. So, although this may be the best time to face it on 5%, and I don't have a magic answer other than you can play a cash, we'll pay cash, we'll do this and that. The bottom line's the same thing. How far do you want to spread it out? You can do it 3%. But 3% maybe is less tiers, 5%. I pick a number, but I would probably say 5% is a reasonable number. That'd be my opinion, but doesn't mean anything other than opinion.
So they'd be
You
spending,
talk
they'd be
about this, and
contributing
if that's
$33
true,
a month.
well, look what's gonna happen to our
33.
taxes, but what
It's
about
a
a
third
fellow
of
like
that.
this guy
Instead of
that's 2 or 3
15%
employees?
being 95.
Or 7.5 was 95.
I have been
75,
thinking about it, you all need to think about it too,
Yeah.
is the town
15%,
needs
okay.
to
Oh, I see what you're
address
saying.
this
Yeah.
in some fashion like
So that's
that
not
we agree to,
33 times
even if
12.
we only do it a year at a time, is a cap on what we're going to pay for healthcare. And the cap would have to be some percentage increase each year. And then you can go to the same meeting I went to, okay? But the purpose of this Obamacare process is really to get everybody on the government plan. And there's no magic in this thing. That means that if you have a health care plan, and even if we said, and let's say the increases went to 25% annually, that even if the town said, we'll pay Julie's 25%, it's still registered as a Cadillac plan, and the town then has to pay the penalties for that. So there's no magic way to get through this that says, we'll hide the money, we'll put it over here, it's not, so unless we agree, and it's very difficult to, I mean, you agree to a number and say, we will pay no more than 10% per year, or some number. That will give the town some tax protection, but what it drives the employees to do is to say, my God, I'm paying so much for health insurance, I don't have a choice except to go to the Federal Exchange. I don't have an answer for it, it's the way it's driven right now.
And it all could change in 2 years, that it may be better for the individuals to go into the health exchanges, and by the way, they're still buying, even through the Affordable Health Care Act, they're still buying private and company insurance, it's not a government insurance. The government may pay a subsidy.
Correct, but it goes through, it goes through the exchange anyway.
Right.
Okay.
The government may pay a subsidy, and it may be cheaper for the individuals to buy through the exchanges and accept the subsidies, and their rates may, nobody knows yet.
Yeah, I know.
So, but I'm getting back to the two individuals, I think it might be a good idea between now and the next meeting to have a conversation with them.
Okay, you want me to do that, or you want all of us to do it?
Well, it'd have to be a meeting if it was all of us.
Okay, do you want me to go sit down and see what their opinion is?
Well, I think,
I know what their opinion is.
Do you want me to go see if I then am able to come back to the
Yes,
meeting?
that'd be great.
well, we're trying to find a solution here that's fair and reasonable as we can find, and so I think they should have an opportunity to kind of answer, because they're not here. If we were to go ahead and explain to them why we're looking into this and you know, show them the hard copies that we have from the town council and the concerns about the disparity and talk about what has been generated tonight. I mean, 5% and what that translates into per week. I think that would be a fair next step.
Well, why don't I try to, I will go try to talk to him before next meeting. The problem is I can't be here next meeting.
Yeah, right.
Okay, then I can either get to you with a kind of a summary of what happened?
Yeah.
Does that sound
Sure.
okay? All right,
That
I'll do
sounds
that.
good. And you can get him what he needs to show them,
Yes.
as far as the input we had from council.
I like the 5% now that, since
You
we're
know,
talking
that's reasonable. I mean, that's the same timeline we have.
with the raises.
Right.
Yeah.
And if something's different next year, we, like you said, we'll,
You know, we gave them something, now in their mind, we're taking it away from them.
Well,
We really
correct.
are, we have no control over this. And like you said, if you think it's bad now, wait till a year or 2 years from now, I don't know where the hell we're going. Nobody does.
Nobody does.
It's scary, it's not fun, it's scary to see this.
well, that's the only reason I say maybe the town, because it's scary, if the town adopted, you pick a cap, I said 10%, and if a year from now you find that that's not the right cap, you can make it 12% or 10, 15%. But there needs to be a decision process without just saying, we'll do whatever they hand to us.
It's like a defined benefit plan.
Something, we gotta come with some position that says, if this healthcare increase, and by the way, the LGC predicted to be 27%, I think, in, where am I? 14, 15. In 16, they predicted to be 27% increase. Now, and like 18% in 15. So I guess my question is, if we came to grips with it now, I guess, and said we're going to agree to pick a number, 10 or 12% increase, it is going to be a driving force to the employees to say, my God, what are you telling us? But I don't know what the choice is. You can't just say, well, we'll pay it all, because it's still a Cadillac plan, and then it becomes penalties. And if you pay the penalties, that's more Cadillac plan. That's the way it's designed.
Do what FW Webb did, they're self-insured. 1,700 employees, self-insured.
We got
Well,
22.
you're beyond my pay grade now, I don't know.
Okay.
Our private insurance, until we went on Medicare, was going up anywhere from 18 to 25% a year.
Really?
1990 to 2010.
Right. That's,
A year.
18 to 25% a year.
It's amazing.
we would,
Mine did the
And
same
that's-
thing.
So it's nothing new. I mean, this is.
Right.
No, it is not. This is not any,
That's right.
no drugs, no, this is
Right.
a high cap on the premiums, I mean,
Right.
high deductible. We
You're
don't
right.
find this unusual at all.
so I think maybe.
But I
that's-
can see, your problem is we put a cap on that, say we're gonna only pay 10%, we're gonna end up losing people too, potentially, because they said there might be a better plan
It's
over
a
here.
driving
It's a
force.
driving
I
force,
don't- I don't,
you know.
and we don't know what's going on. That's another issue. We really don't know where this is gonna go, so.
Well, I think that's a good next step between now and
The
next meeting.
All righty?
Have a conversation
Okay.
with them.
I will
And-
talk to
and-
Carl and get a
so that-
summary back to you guys.
Thank
Okay.
You gotta talk to Carl Henshaw.
Yeah, I'll talk to the whole police department.
Well,
'Cause it's best they're all there.
There are only two.
I know, but that's, I know. I don't think I want to go into just two guys.
Well, it impacts them all.
Yeah, it impacts them all.
Yeah, and yeah, right, realistically,
Yeah.
yeah, it does.
It impacts
And
them.
there might be some adjustments we have to make with Doug's raise, so it doesn't seem disproportionate with the other guy's raise too, if they're getting healthcare and a raise potentially.
I can look at that.
Might have to look at the numbers again,
Yeah.
but we can deal with that.
Okay.
Communications protocol, what we got here, Jules? A whole stack of,
Oh, no, that's the next, that's the,
I asked her to put the communications protocol on this week's agenda under new business, just because I think that, I've always been interested in how, since I've come in, and it's been almost 2 years now, how the individuals in this town communicate with people who are staff, who are other elected officials, who are other boards, who are on different committees, and who communicate with key stakeholders in town from other groups that have business with the town, and taking a look at what we have in our personnel policy around the whole issue of communication. How we communicate, almost to me, says everything about what gets done and how it gets done and how we get along. And so I would like to just kind of make it a project of mine over the next 6 months or so to really audit this town and the communications protocol between department heads, between departments, between boards, between committees, and analyze what we do. And it would entail focus groups in departments, it would entail surveys that I would put together, it would entail a lot of things that are actually related to some of the classes I've taken. It would be what is called a communications audit of the town of Jackson. And I think we could learn a lot from it. It's a great way to kind of see where you're at and understand where you want to be, and if you're there, or if you're not, how to get there. And I could actually make it a project that would make it worth my while, because it could be related to a class I'm taking. But I just wanted to throw that out there and find out what you guys thought about conducting a communications audit for the town of Jackson.
Can you start tomorrow? Really, that's what this town needs.
I could start at any point, as long as it's something that people are behind.
I would find it valuable.
Okay. I think this is my proposal, but I really think that it would behoove us to put together some sort of a letter of support on town letterhead, so that it's clear that this exists and it's something that the selectmen support.
This is why we don't have people sign up for committees, because we don't have good communication skills at that level, at every level. If we all communicated, and I don't care whether it's here or home or on a job or where it is, if you don't communicate, you have nothing going. And if we got people to communicate better, we would have harmony, we
that would be, one of the end goals here would be to establish
I think
protocol.
if we did that, we'd be making great steps.
Yes.
Here's a, for instance, we're gonna talk about, what's that say, town?
So at any rate, if it's something you guys are interested in, to me looking into, I'm happy to,
I think it's
okay, maybe draft something up and have everybody sign it, and then it's official, and then I'll put together probably just a one-page, I'll follow Warren's lead, single page, double spaced, to just outline in a general way what we're talking about, so everybody's clear on
I got you, Jan.
what the project would entail. So, okay, that's it.
Very good. Good idea. Town boards, letters of interest here.
I didn't know exactly how you wanted to review
Well,
those.
I think the reappointments would be after March, right? Because they run right till
I just
March.
put the whole
Okay,
stack
all right, just want to make sure that's a reappointment. This one is looking to move up. Remaining reappointment. Okay, so the only one we really have to fill is Joan's position. Joan Aubrey resigned from the ZBA, effective the first of the year. Where's her letter? Right here in my hand. She has scheduled conflicts, so she wasn't able to do it. I'll be working for the Memorial Hospital Board of Trustees, though, so we meet every third Wednesday in the evenings, which conflicts with the ZBA, and she thanks for her, enjoyed her time at the ZBA and appreciated the opportunity. And we did have one letter of interest to replace her. It's from an alternate, Dave Metesky, asking for an appointment as a full member, and then that would leave us an alternate member available. See how that plays out. So I guess we need a nomination, a motion to nominate or appoint Dave Metesky as replacement for Joan Opry as in the ZBA.
So how often is the zoning board of adjustment meeting?
As
on
needed.
average right now? You're on the board, Jerry.
They meet as needed.
Right.
Once, twice a month.
When there's a application to the ZBA, we meet.
How many times have
But
you
once
met
or
over
twice
the
a
last
month?
6 months?
Maximum, yes. And it depends on what's going on. It could be
Not very often.
it's not a pressing schedule.
Is it on average, is it quarterly, or is it monthly, or
Monthly, I'd say,
monthly?
yeah.
Okay. All right. And there's 5
There's a-
active
there-
members and 3 alternates?
So to my knowledge, right now, there's nothing pending.
Nothing pending. Okay.
I believe, isn't that right? Five on the active members and 3 alternates? Okay.
And we've got 2 terms up after March?
Oh, I know, there's so many, I can't.
Yeah, we'll have to deal with that later, and that's
Yeah.
really...
This is just to fill the ZBA,
Right.
and make them full.
How many alternates
Yeah,
are there?
I don't know how accurate this is.
Go for it.
Mr. Funicello is an alternate now, I believe.
Mhm.
I don't know if his term's up or not up. If he becomes treasurer, he will not be able to sit on the ZBA. I think I'm correct in that. So you would be facing another alternate then.
But that would be for the next select board to decide in March,
Okay.
hopefully.
But to fill this now is really what we've been asked to do by the board chair, Frank. And we have an alternate who has expressed interest, so I think and we posted it. Did we get any other interest? John? That's the only letter. Okay, well, he's the only interested candidate. He's probably pretty qualified, seeing as how he's been sitting as an alternate for
Absolutely.
a while. So I'll make a motion that we approve Dave Matesky for the active seat on the zoning board of adjustment.
Second?
Now, that seat runs until when? Do we know? When Jones' seat is up for reappointment?
I think it's 2015.
I think 2015.
So it'll be next spring that seat would be up for renewal. Okay. Okay.
Any other discussion on that?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And I thank Dave for stepping up.
Right.
So then Julie just needs to write a letter to him so that he can then get sworn in. I think is how that works.
Say it again?
Yes, you need to let her know, you'll need to be sworn in.
Because
Yeah,
now
yeah,
that he's
it's been sworn in.
active
Yeah.
and no longer an alternate, that's a change, so, yeah, that makes sense.
All right, and the last bit of new business is an withdrawal of $75, sum of $75 from the old library capital reserve fund to pay for an invoice from Bruce Campbell. And so I need a motion, or we need a motion here to withdraw $75 from the old library capital reserve fund to pay the invoice.
Can I ask
Dated.
what it was for?
It was some electrical work, apparently.
Oh, okay.
Recessed floor electrical outlet. Removed old emergency exit sign. Minimal
Mm-hmm.
electrical stuff, $75.
You need a motion for that?
Yes, we do.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I'm assuming he's a certified electrician, has insurance.
Oh, I assume so.
Okay.
Gosh, we better find out.
Well, I don't want to hold up the paper.
No,
but-
but
I'll sign it.
old business? Good.
I have none.
Public comments?
Just a question on your
Sorry.
bail or
Let me see.
sorry.
thing.
Yes.
You agreed to do what part you agreed to do?
We have agreed to allow $18,000, our portion of $18,000 to,
My question is, you didn't make a motion, do you need to make a motion for that?
thought we did. We not, Martin? I might apologize. I
Bela.
thought I did.
7C.
We agreed to it anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe we didn't make a motion, just forgot.
Maybe we just
You
agreed.
didn't make a
All right,
motion.
so we need to make a motion to expend our portion of $18,000 out of the Jackson Bartlett transfer account for said baler.
In addition to
And the hookup
$2,500
expense.
expenses also.
And that's right, the $2,500, and that was moving the present baler and some wire baler over as well. So that
So moved.
our portion of that, which
Second.
I believe is 60/40, but we will check. Okay. Any other discussion?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did
All
that-
in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Did that letter have the spot for us to sign?
No. Oh, it did?
Yes.
Because I think that their signatures were on it.
Right. Bill?
But I think you signed it.
Did we?
Thought we did.
I don't, okay.
Bill, you had a question?
Yeah, back to the
What are we selling?
town boards, you know, it's really scary to see the empty seats.
Yes.
Complete disinterest in coming on these boards. And we need to address that and do something about it. We need to somehow entice people to generate an interest in serving on these boards. And how do you do it? I don't know. One thing I'm thinking is maybe you could have a night where you could have people come in and answer their questions. People are scared. They're afraid to come into a room like this and express their thoughts and feelings. That's why exactly what you're doing is going to help solve communicating. And I think what you need to do is have a night, not a candidate's night, an information night where you can tell people what these jobs consist of and entice them into coming onto these boards. The only board that's full is
Commission.
Conservation Commission is not only full, but he also has commitments from his people to serve next year. No one's pulling off of the board, which is a good indication. You know, people think that you get on these boards and all you do is come in here and argue. And that's not what you want. That's why if you get the communications going, you know, we can agree to disagree, but we have to become enemies over it.
I know.
You know, so that's what I'm suggesting, you can do something like that. We have to get some of these young people in town here. I mean, people just can't say, you know, yeah, I love living in Jackson. Well, why don't you come on? No, I don't feel like doing that. I don't want to do that. Well, it's their town. We need to somehow entice them into getting involved.
No, we don't. Yes, we do. No, we don't. Yes, we do.
It is kind of the nature of the thing, the fact that, your kids are older, my kids are older, and your kids are older, it's a situation where we probably have a little more free time to do it. If I was a single dad 20 years ago or 15 years ago trying to do this, there'd be no way in heck would I do it.
There might be something to some sort of an informational night,
Right, that's what I mean.
and it would be after the March meeting.
Yeah.
We wanted to hold something like that.
Just say, hey, we're going to have an informal informational evening for all, and all of these heads of the departments will be here to answer your questions.
And we really need to start to, draw some for the fire department too.
Get some
They need some
pizza,
fresh
we'll have
blood
a
in there
full
as
room.
well.
Do they? Well, same thing.
Right.
Jay should do that. You should have a night like that.
We had a good pizza night at Shenandoah the other night. That was fun. You were there.
Yeah.
Two more things. Bill came in today and asked that we look at our office hours. He's not happy with the 3 o'clock closing time.
I just think an office
That's what I was gonna ask.
should be open.
Is it, are the public comments still open?
Yes.
Wait a minute, she's not done.
Oh, yeah. So there's a proposal, and it would be based on basically mirroring Julie's hours. That I usually come in earlier, so it really wouldn't apply to me per se, but the proposal would be 8:30 to 4 Monday through Thursday, Friday 8:30 to 1.
I just think the office, the public should have better access.
No,
They're all- That's another subject. But I just think that the public, 3 o'clock seems too early to me. 4 is borderline, 5 is normal, but I can live with 4. And Friday should close at what time? 1. Yeah. At least we have it open sometime. It hasn't been open at all.
Well, we can take a look at that. Maybe put that on the agenda for next week, maybe.
The other thing was, I think at the budget hearing, he had talked about having salaries listed individually. And you guys had a response to that.
Yeah, I wasn't particularly keen on it.
It's a matter of,
It's
Public
public knowledge.
information.
Anybody can find that information they want it. I don't want to, again, it could produce some anxiety among some employees and things like that happen. We do it in the teacher's report, but again, that's based on years' experience. It's a step schedule. You get hired on step 5, that's your salary. Whereas sometimes it's more performance-based here, and that may, bend some noses out of shape. So I personally am not in favor of posting salaries and names with them myself, but that's my personal opinion.
We're just out of curiosity, when you say, it's public information, how do they find it out?
They come to me and ask me.
Well, there's that.
I can print out a report.
just like a tax card.
So then the request is to
Hey.
print the, I remember me asking this, but the request is to print it where then, in the annual report?
Yes.
I agree with John.
Okay, I agree with John.
I see no reason.
It's again, it's public knowledge, so. Jerry?
town clerk has asked for a specific salary increase, and that it's going to be on the warrant. And that the selectmen is not true.
No.
The thing that she asked for, the budget amount that she asked for was decided at the budget hearing, and then the two warrant articles that she's asked for are for health insurance and commission retirement.
Okay. Both things that we haven't done before.
Right, that's why we have to do that.
And if the selectmen are going to support this, then I think the selectmen, now I recognize that the clerk is semi-autonomous and sets their hours. If the selectmen are going to support these increases in benefits, then the selectmen should have set parameters as to what they would like to see with respect to hours of operation.
That's what I got right there.
No, that's for our office.
I know, but I wrote down
Oh,
town
okay,
clerk,
okay.
tax collector hours.
Because they stink right now.
Right, and that was the whole premise here, is that, her salary, or her position, she was gonna absorb most of the deputy hours, so really we wouldn't be splitting two part-time jobs, basically. And therefore, the hours would be more amendable to what people expect out of an office. That was a gig on that.
Thank you.
We haven't set the hours yet,
Right.
but that's the plan, is to, and again, we can't really do anything until after the vote, because we don't know how it's gonna go,
Right.
Her hours should really be close to their hours.
Correct.
I guess if you're going to recommend for increases in benefits, then you should at least have the right to recommend what the parameters are going to be.
Oh, I agree.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I have nothing.
All right. Take a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye. Thank you very much for coming and your input.
Thank you, guys.
So
Appreciate
I
it.
wasn't even gonna act on this, but Jimmy said, well, maybe Bill and John should see it.
I was trying to
I know
put
what's
through
wrong.
all RSA's, and I don't think there's anything else on there,